So over the past year, we've had a lot of these new Dead Cells updates, and one of the coolest ones, I think, is the bank. Because the bank as a concept, really interesting, because we don't have a lot of interactions with money in this game beyond just killing enemies, getting gold, or opening up treasure chests, like just stuff like that. But like, we don't have a dedicated level about the joys of capitalism. But like, you know, not really, because it's a video game and there's no political connotation within this game. In any case, we're going to be talking about the best weapon from that update, and in my opinion, one of the best weapons overall in the entire game, and that is the Gold Digger. Gold Digger is absolutely phenomenal, and if you're on lower boss cells, you may not understand why. So like, here's the deal, right? The Gold Digger constantly crits if you are above 12,000 gold. If you're at 11,999, not going to crit. If you're at 12,000 exactly, you're going to crit. So it may seem a little daunting for those of you on lower boss levels because the money output isn't as much, and you're just generally not getting as much gold from killing monsters, from treasure chests, that sort of thing. But in higher boss levels, it's actually really good. It's one of those rare weapons that tends to get way better the further you are in the game. And it's because as you increase in boss cells, you tend to get a lot of money. And if you're good about saving money, which I'll talk about how to save money during the course of this run, you're going to get those constant crits. And let me tell you, this is a fast survival weapon that gets constant crits. We really want to think about this in terms of something like the Swift Sword, which will get constant crits in a biome if you have velocity, if you have a speed boost. So after you're killing a couple enemies, you're going to be getting crits throughout the level. This is essentially the survival version of that, in which you're going to be getting those constant crits, but the trick is that you actually get crits against bosses, 1, and 2, you have control, much more control over when you get those crits. I said the word crits too many times, but I hope you guys enjoyed the run. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be running with the Seismic Strike for a little bit. This is a normal mode run. It's not like I could start off right away with the Gold Digger. You wouldn't want to anyways, because again, like money output, right? Like it's a fast survival weapon, but it's still a survival weapon, so you're going to be taking a lot of hits if you're not getting those crits, and the damage output on the crits, I'm be honest, not that great, but you get what you need to out of it, and once you get it rolling, it's truly phenomenal. So one thing I want to note here is that the movement is going to look kind of weird for a while, and it's because I have that affix on my amulet about jumping and stunning enemies. It's always been a very bizarre mechanic. Just because you don't know when you're stunning enemies, and that technically counts as a hit. So don't go to ossuary if you have to deal with that affix on the amulet. It's generally really good, but don't deal with thornies. I took a challenge rift in prisoner quarters. I take another challenge rift here. I actually have 4 challenge rifts throughout this run. And in a bit, as well, you can see I get the Gold Digger here, but one of the goals I have is to support that Gold Digger. I already knew this is a great weapon. I want to build around it. That's something that you want to think about during your Dead Cells runs, is once you find that weapon or you find that skill that you want to really revolve that run around, it's so much easier just to build it. It's a lot harder to do on normal mode than something like custom mode, where you can easily build that. Custom mode has its own issues, but be that as it may, you are going to have evened out RNG at some point. You're not going to get bad drops the entire run. It's going to seem like it sometimes, but you're going to find something that you can, in fact, revolve your whole run around. And that's the one nice thing about Dead Cells, is that there's no truly atrocious weapon to the point where you can't get a win with it. You can get a win with anything in this game. It's just a matter of how fast are you going to get that win. And with the Gold Digger, you get a lot of slow boss fights, but very, very fast biomes. So it's the same as a lot of survival weapons. You do run into issues against bosses just because survival weapons are inherently slow, not a lot of status-based synergy, which is how you get fast boss kills in general. I want to take a little bit of time and talk about how survival works and why I think it's currently the best stat in the game, which is absolutely insane considering how down I was about survival for like the longest time, especially because of just the slow nature of it and then just like not having good damage output. They added a lot of new mutations around like the 1.8, 1.9 time, where you got a lot of really interesting things, and you can see it on your screen. They moved Berserker, that first mutation, where if you get a hit off a melee attack, or if you get a kill off a melee attack, then you get reduced damage. The other one being Frostbite, which is if enemies are slowed down, then they take extra damage. By the way, I end up clearing this curse, which should be obvious, otherwise there would be no video. And I'll get to talking about the run like the further we get along, but I just kind of want to give you guys a little background first. But anyways, so Frostbite, one of the things to think about with Frostbite is what is the one affix that a lot of survival weapons have, if not all of them? It's the victim's nearby slowdown affix, right? And so, especially with those melee weapons, they tend to struggle against flying enemies. Gold Digger's not necessarily that case just because of the motion of the weapon, like its movement. Like you can kill flying enemies rather easily. But the thing about Frostbite is that it kills those flying enemies just automatically, so you don't have to deal with them. And you get a lot of chip damage on certain bulky enemies, such as your slashers, which are the blue birds. You get them on the toxic miasma, which are the ones that kind of expand and explode. So you get a lot of really important chip damage. The only downside to it is that you can proc elites, you can proc enemies that like to easily aggro. You gotta be a little careful sometimes, but for the most part, one of the best mutations in the entire game. Seriously. And you obviously have that synergy with any of the frost or slowdown weapons, such as your ice shards, ice bows of the world, things like that. And we are going to be actually picking up a legendary ice bow at some point in this run. I believe it's the next biome, if not this one. Just fantastic synergy that you can easily build on with the slowdown mechanic. It is incredibly strong. Speaking of which, I actually get rid of the Crusher, which does slow down enemies. Very good skill, especially for a weapon like this. But I have to go for the Giant Whistle. And one of the big reasons is my damage output is good, but it is not great. It will be great the further we go in this run, as I kind of carelessly take a hit from the slammer there. But Giant Whistle just lets me get a lot of really, really simple, easy kills on a lot of bulky enemies that I don't necessarily want to deal with. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. What you're going to see here is just a lot of chaos. You want to just remain calm when you're playing this game, because eventually you're going to get hit. There's not a lot of people that like don't get hit in Dead Cells, right? You're going to miss parries, like I did there. You're going to miss attacks. You're going to get hit. You want to mitigate the amount of damage you take, and the best way you can do that is by trying not to overcorrect your mistakes. Yeah, I took a hit from an enemy, but it was a small enemy, and I took like 10% of my damage. Easily able to mitigate that through, you know, taking potions, through it's taking whatever, right? Don't worry about getting hit. You're on survival. It's okay to take hits. Use your potions. Use everything that you have at your disposal when you're in a run like this. And especially when you're building up your runs, you're going to have a power issue at first. It's just how the game works. I go to Ramparts because I just wanted to do something different. I've never shown Bank on this channel. I have never shown the DLC stuff. I mean, I've shown it as a first look thing, the DLC stuff, but I never really like did it. And I really want to show you guys some like cool strategies that I was able to come up with in a survival build. Anyways, Ramparts, done, easy. You can take the 3BC door, head over to Kanji. This is where we start seeing some of the problems with survival in general, save for a couple weapons, which is that you don't get damage over time for the most part, unless you're really like intentional about building up synergy, and you can do that through like getting statuses through pairing. If you got like poison on parry, then you get 80% to poison. That's how you would build synergy, but otherwise it's like kind of difficult to do it. I tried, just wasn't getting the reroll RNG that I would have liked. I take a hit there, kind of unlucky. Probably should have jumped earlier. I got a little greedy, but I'm genuinely not worried about like dying. It's very hard to no-hit every single boss on survival. It's not that survival's bad. It's, like I said, I think it's the best stat in the game right now. It's just, you're not going to get quick kills, and the longer you're in a boss fight, the longer you have to be able to pay attention, the longer you have to be able to do things. It's just not worth it to try and greed that all the time. Sometimes you do, but not all the time. Anyways, gonna kill the last tentacle, second phase going up. And now, one thing with bosses is that they won't actually complete their attack. This is just all enemies. They won't complete their attack if they're frozen. So Kanji was about to go for the big circle, the little aura thing. Didn't do it because she was frozen. But the caveat is that enemies will, and especially bosses will, not get frozen as much over time. And you're gonna unfortunately see that as that fight continues. I do take a couple hits here. Again, just tentacles don't do much damage. Kanji in general just doesn't do much damage. So even on tactics, you'll be fine. Just don't take a bunch of hits at once, because I don't know how the damage calculator works in this game. But what I do know is that if you take consecutive hits, you will take more damage, which makes sense because you're more vulnerable at that point. Gonna get the last kill on the tentacle here. Sometimes there's just not a lot to say. This is a longer fight. But I think I want to take a little bit of time to talk about how to save money. What you want to think about is you have a backpack slot, right? For assuming that like you have it unlocked. If you have the gold digger and you really like it, but you don't have the money output for it, you can always keep that in your backpack slot. As we're going to get the kill on Kaji here. But I'll just keep talking about this kind of weapon and how to save money. One of the other ways to save money is by going to this next level, which is the bank. Now, keep in mind, if you do go to the bank and do this and steal money and not pay back, you are going to run into the problem of like having 100 curses when you're done, right? But 100 curses is not the worst in the world, first of all. Second of all, you can save money. You spend money and you steal money to eventually make money. So think about it in terms of you're making an investment. I know absolutely nothing about finances. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. Just don't listen to me. But I do know how to save money in Dead Cells. So I'm going to tell my ADHD to stop right now and then just keep talking. Anyways, we're going to get this kill on the dancer, move on with our lives. So you don't have to always have the thing that you want, which in this case is the gold digger. You don't have to have it right away. You can keep it in the backpack slot, or you can just like depend on the RNG to like be, hey, I'm just going to hope to get one later. Like if you're in like the 3rd or 4th biome, you're probably going to see one a little bit later. As we're going to pick up this curse here, clear it pretty quickly. It's going to take a while just because I have to jump from one red door to the blue door. You sell every item that you come across. You sell pretty much everything. You sell even the potions if you're able to. Eventually, you're going to make it to that $12,000. And when you do, you're going to unleash the power of this weapon. Now, keep in mind, I'm at about 38,866 gold right now. So that means I have a lot of gold on me. Which also means the other thing is that I don't have to worry about spending money. Which, even better, what that means is I legitimately don't need to worry about the fact that, okay, well, I can re-roll items. I can buy a bunch of things. I'm only past the first boss, right? I got bank right after the first boss. I was going to go to Sanctuary, ended up here. So I have a lot of money that I can waste time on. I can buy potions. I can buy health items. I can buy other weapons. And I'm not going to in this level until the very end, just because I don't want to deal with the mimics, which are basically, they're the shopkeepers and they turn evil and they try to kill you and they're very difficult. I just don't want to deal with that until after I'm done with the curse, after I'm done with the level, because then I can just go and heal and stuff like that. So that's basically like what I'm thinking at this point. It's easy to save money is my point. I spent the whole level talking about it, trying to figure out where the heck to go. We're going to eventually clear out this curse. Don't worry about saving the money over time. It is going to happen. Just be diligent about it. You have to be conscious, but you will get the amount of money you need by this point in the game. I am triple the amount that's required. Again, that just gives me an opportunity to be able to build more around it. It's very much a win more strategy in taking this weapon. The other thing I'm thinking of doing at this point in the run is, what do I want to support it with, right? I'm talking about that in terms of, okay, I am not 100% confident in this build right now just because this is not an easy weapon. Like, survival is, it's easy in terms of just like you can take a lot of hits, but like you have to win at some point, right? Again, you can see an example of Frostbite aggroing an elite, but I was kind of able to manipulate that because I knew what was going to happen. Be aware of your surrounding in a survival build. Don't do what I did just there and like take a hit from somebody, because you don't want to build bad habits. A lot of players really struggle on bad habits in like 4 or 5 BCs because of the fact that they've been playing survival the whole time because it's easy to tank hits, but those bad habits build up over time. You still take a fair amount of damage. You still will end up in situations when you're at 20% health, 30% health, if you take a bunch of hits in a row. You have to be careful. I have this ice shield, I have this ice bow that is obviously going to carry me through the next few biomes, but it's not that great against bosses, so you have to be able to parry. Clock Tower is a very hard biome when you have Frostbite because of the fact that the Automaton will get aggroed by it. Just keep that in mind. In terms of mutations, like I would generally say Frostbite is your best friend. I have a very weird way of looking at survival. I want to look at it in terms of I don't actually care if I get hit. When I'm playing tactics, I have to play very fast and loose. I have to play very diligently just because one hit is going to be like 3/4 of my health. In survival, you don't need to do that, so you want to increase that damage reduction as much as possible. How do you get damage reduction in this game? You get a lot of health. I have Soldier's Resistance for that. I don't like Dead Inside until the very end of the game, but I take Soldier's Resistance for this case. By the way, Timekeeper. I'm going to take a couple hits in here, but it's really just about parrying. I have the shield that I got from the bank. I'm going to be taking that for the rest of the fight. Recovery is also going to be a friend of yours. You get a lot of recovery if you get hit, and then you can get most of your HP back just from getting the crits on survival weapons, like from something like a broadsword, something like, well, the Gold Digger. What I decided to do is I decided to go with the shield, but I was thinking initially go with punishment for Gold Digger. But eventually, as my cat starts meowing in the background, I decided to go with Ramparts. Ramparts is a very good shield. It's not overlooked, it's not underrated, but I don't take it that much just because I would rather get damage on a shield. But in this case, I have enough damage from being able to just cleave enemies to death with the Gold Digger, so why not just go for something that's going to allow me to, again, damage reduction, right? Because this is a shield that you can hold up, and then you get an additional shield on top of it, so you can afford to take a couple hits. It's things like that you want to think about in your survival runs, especially when it comes to dealing with enemies and bosses and things like that, like, it's going to be hard to get hits off sometimes just because survival is a bit slower. You may notice that I'm switching around my weapons and skills a lot, or my weapons, my support. I'm switching out my support a lot. Wards are very hard sometimes. Reason is I don't need to parry anything in here. Parrying I have no idea what these enemies are called in the DLC levels. I know that one's the Armored Shrimp. He's easy to parry, but he also can attack from above. He can attack from below. So why even bother trying to parry something that like isn't consistent, right? So I'd rather take the Ice Bow, have a little more consistency in this level, and I reap the rewards. I get hit once throughout the course of this level, and it wasn't even that major of a hit. It was like from a rat or something like that. So it's a fantastic level. I have not been here that much. I absolutely love it. It is so much fun. It is diverse. You get a lot of different types of enemies. The enemies that are provided for you are not super try-hard difficult. They're not impossible. They're very realistic within Dead Cells. Like it feels like a Dead Cells level. It's one of the best levels in the entire game, in my opinion. I did not see that Armored Shrimp coming, and that was very scary. But again, just Frostbite combined with the Victim Slowdown affix, it's just so much chip damage. Like, these enemies are like down to half their health, and like I don't need to worry at all. It's so convenient just to be able to have the damage that I need to where one hit does what I need it to do. You don't take a lot of hits, and yeah, I'm all about damage reduction on survival, but like you don't need that much damage reduction. You don't need to overdo it like I'm doing. All you need is a way to crowd control. I have that with Frostbite and Slowdown. You can get natural slowdown synergy. It is absolutely the best synergy that you can get in survival. Freeze is also really good, and Stun is okay. Stun is alright, and Rooted is pretty good, but easily the best to Slowdown because it's the easiest one to get. Ease of use is how I like to think of it. You literally have a weapon in Ice Shards dedicated to slowdown. Half of your weapons are going to be slowing down enemies just off of an affix. It's just a really easy thing to build around. And I'm seeing the dividends of that with Gold Digger. Challenge Rift number 4, gonna easily complete that. We're gonna be moving on to the Lighthouse, which automatically connects from the Shipwreck. It is such a well-designed, again, just really well-designed, very aesthetically pleasing levels. Again, just lots of chip damage, chip kills that I'm getting. And if you are at a point where you have a high enough scroll count like I do, you start to get chip kills. Another weapon I think is really good, Symmetrical Lance, but this is all about the Gold Digger. Once I saw that Gold Digger, I was all about it. Because I got it in Toxic Sewers. I was adamant that I wanted to take this weapon as soon as I saw it. It really, really did the bulk of the damage. And all I needed to do was switch it out once or twice. I got like a level 8 one. I picked up a level 10 one when I was in Clock Tower. That's all you need to do. Lighthouse, let's talk a little strategy in Lighthouse. I might come out with a guide at some point. I have not no-hit this enough to really justify doing a guide. I've only ever no-hit it once, and I got super lucky. I did not deserve it, to be honest. But my strategy right now is, if you have a shield, this level becomes infinitely easier in the beginning, in the first and third stages. In the second, it becomes a little harder. But kill the enemies. Kill those 2 guys, and you won't have to worry about trying to beat them up top. You either do that or just run for your life and dodge everything. You don't want to do it halfway, because it's really difficult at that point. Now, what you want to do is attack everything on the ground. Every single thing on the ground. All 3 of these enemies will come on the ground at some point. So just hit whoever is closest to you. And then just keep your peripheral vision open. You're gonna see the 2 enemies going, but the nice thing is that their attack patterns are extremely predictable. That big attack that he does, it's really hard to parry. He takes a long time to charge it because he's about to do it right here. It's so easy to dodge. So easy to dodge. And the hitbox is so weird and is very, very generous. The other thing I did is I killed this guy. I think his name is Cleo or something like that. I got him killed before I had to deal with Eucalyptus or whatever this dude's name. These guys' names are weird. I suck at names. I'm not going to bother. But the arrows are kind of hard to deal with when you're dealing with a guy that's like trying to like bludgeon you with a mace, right? So that's why you want to isolate them. Try your best to isolate them. It's not 100% possible to do, but once you see that I get him where I want him, now I can wait for my spot and then just go and then just smack him in the face. I drop him over in the fire. Now he's left me alone. I can go up and deal with these enemies now. Dealing with the 2 of them at once, it is very challenging at first. Also, don't do what I did and grab the healing item, because that's going to increase your malaise. That'll mess up things against bosses. But I had Dead Inside too, which messed up my healing even more. But these guys are really easy to kill if you can manage to get them both like pseudo killed in the first part of it, like when you're running up, because they'll be at half health, and killing an enemy at half health is way easier than killing an enemy at full health, because again, it's like I talked about in that kanji fight. I spent too much time trying to find kanji, not getting enough hits off. So yeah, I'm obviously going to be taking more hits. I'm going to end up killing the guy whose name starts with an E that I don't care enough to remember. Get him killed. Now we have the 3. This is where things start to become a little harder, but they also get a little bit easier because you have 2 grounded enemies. All you need to do is peripherally look at the arrow guy. Once you get him locked in, it becomes a heck of a lot easier to manage. And, you know, if you want to get rid of the barrels, you can get rid of the barrels. You don't want to get them shooting towards you, but, like, it's not going to happen that much. Kill the guy with the sights. He's really fragile. He's more fragile than the other 2. So, get them killed. Get all 3 of these guys killed. So, I got 2 of them killed right away because I was able to drop them in the fire. And then I get Mr. Sides over here killed. And that's actually going to be it for the hits that I take. I take, like, a really small kind of BS hit towards the end, but, like, again, this is very doable. It's just so intimidating at first because you're going to be like, what am I doing? I can't find these enemies. I feel like I'm getting hit all the time. And yeah, I was there. I hated this because it was so difficult for me. But you know what? Like, eventually I figured it out. You just got to keep working at it. Just keep coming back to this level. Keep trying to get more and more efficient. I found what works for me. You're going to find what works for you. There's a lot of individuality with this level. Again, I'm just not really taking that many hits. And, you know, I take 1 or 2, but, like, it's survival. I mean, obviously, if I was tactics, I'd have to be a little bit more careful and roll around. But I would suggest, like, taking a shield for this level is just, like, way more efficient than not taking a shield, as we get the first of the 3 guys killed. They're individually not that hard, so just look at it in terms of beating 3 people individually so that you can get 1 more. Just divide and conquer. That's the strategy. These guys have very, like, predictable attack patterns. They're all easy to parry outside of the guy with the arrows. So don't bother parrying. Just move away from him. You have a roll. The other guys you can parry, and that eases up your timing. You have to deal with the roll cooldown, then you parry the guy who's, like, spinning at you. You have arrow shooting at you, roll away. Pretty good timing there. Queen is a lot harder. Queen is a very difficult boss. Her timings are quite unpredictable at times. So what you want to keep in mind is she attacks and attacks fast. roll and roll often. Roll behind her. Even when you're not rolling, you want to roll. You have a delay in between each attack. Now, when it comes to these lights, these little saber thingies, I don't know what they are, but you can just move away. I'm taking it easy. I'm gonna be wolf trapping her. I'm gonna be using the crusher. Yes, all right, I brought the crusher back just for this boss because I wanted to make sure that she was gonna get mauled by that crusher. The big attack that you have to worry about is not the one where like a million lasers come on screen at once. And you're gonna see this right after we're done with lasers part 2. It's the grab attack. It is a very difficult attack. These lasers are not too difficult, and you can easily roll through them if you learn the timing, which I'm still getting better at it, but you cannot parry that grab. It is quite a challenging one. But I do have a health pot. I'm going to go ahead and use it here. But this fight's about to end. I'm going to get off a string of really nice parries after this big attack here. You just have to count to 3. And it's, like, I'll come out with the queen guide eventually, but just work on your parries with her. She's in the training room. Utilize her. That's going to be the run. I did not know hit a single boss, but you know what? I'm going to say this, that I'm very proud of that run because I have been really scared to show you guys footage of Bank and footage of Queen and Lighthouse for so long because I just didn't want to make it all the way there and then just die and not have a video. But I've practiced over and over and over again these levels. I'm making it a point to go to them every single time I'm offline and not doing a run for YouTube. I've gotten way better at them, like just infinitely better. I'm learning how to parry these guys. I'm learning how to dodge. I'm learning how to move. And what I'm realizing is that these 3 levels are great additions to Dead Cells. I have my problems with Bank. I think it's way too long. I think it's tedious. But it's still a well-designed level. Aesthetically, it's really nice. Queen of the Sea is, in my opinion, the best DLC that they have come out with. I think the bosses are well done. I think Lighthouse is one of the coolest biomes I have ever seen. Even Shipwreck, just amazing. It is such a fun experience being able to play these new levels with new weapons, especially for me when I hadn't been playing for a while and I missed out on the Bank update. I didn't really play much of Queen until the last couple months here. Gold Digger is an amazing weapon and it's fun. They've really done a lot with survival. I wanted to take a different direction with this video in just saying that, hey, I didn't really want to talk about the run. The run spoke for itself. You saw a lot of damage. You saw a lot of enemies dying. What I wanted to talk about was kind of the ins and outs of this weapon, how it worked, what strategies to use. It's kind of a pseudo guide, but not really. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, I want to come out and make more videos. With my work schedule, it was really hard for a while, but I think as things start to ease up for me, because my work schedule is getting a little more manageable as the weeks are progressing, I'll be able to put out more videos. Let me know what you guys want to see. If you want to leave a like or subscribe, go ahead. I don't really care, to be honest. I just want to put out videos. I want to enjoy what I'm doing, and I hope you guys did too. But in any case, I really do appreciate you all watching this if you stayed till the end. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe out there.